of the research method short course. In the previous lesson, we examined the scientific method and explored how rigorous research contributes to evidence-informed policy and development practice. We saw that good research begins with curiosity, follows a systematic process, and seeks to generate credible knowledge through empirical investigation. In this lesson, we turn to the first of the two major approaches to social science research, which is qualitative research. Qualitative research is widely used across sociology, social work, political science, anthropology, development studies, and public policy. It's particularly valuable when researchers seek to understand how people experience, interpret, and make sense of their social world. Many of the questions that concern social policy cannot be answered through statistics alone. While quantitative data may tell us about how many people are unemployed, receive social grants, or migrate across borders, they tell us much less about how individuals experience unemployment, how grant recipients navigate everyday life, or how migrants negotiate belonging, exclusion, and identity. Qualitative research enables us to explore these human experiences in depth. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to define qualitative research, explain its philosophical foundations, distinguish qualitative research from quantitative research, describe the central characteristics of qualitative inquiry, and understand why qualitative methods are particularly valuable for social policy and development research. So, what is qualitative research? It is an approach to inquiry that seeks to understand how individuals and groups interpret, experience, and construct their social reality, rather than asking primarily how much, how many, or how often. Qualitative researchers ask questions such as, how do people experience this phenomenon? Why do they understand it in this way? What meanings do they attach to these experiences? How do social, political, and cultural contexts influence these meanings? The purpose of qualitative research is therefore not to measure social phenomena, but to understand them. It recognizes that people's experiences cannot always be reduced to numbers. Instead, it seeks rich, detailed, and contextually grounded explanations of human behavior and social life. Philosophical foundations of qualitative research are equally important to know. Qualitative research is grounded in the belief that reality is socially constructed. This means that people do not simply respond to an objective world in the same way. Instead, they interpret events through their own experiences, identities, relationships, and cultural contexts. Two people may experience exactly the same policy intervention very differently. For example, two recipients of the same social grant may attach very different meanings to that assistance. One may view it as a vital source of dignity and survival, while the other may experience feelings of dependency and social stigma. Neither perspective is necessarily more correct than the other. Instead, qualitative research seeks to understand how these different interpretations emerge. Researchers therefore recognize that there may be multiple realities rather than one single objective social reality. So what counts as qualitative data? Unlike quantitative research, qualitative research generates non-numerical forms of evidence, including interviews, focus group discussions, participant observations, field notes, diaries, photographs, videos, documents, policy documents, historical archives, social media discussions, as well as organizational records, among others. Much of this information exists in the form of words, narratives, and descriptions. These forms of evidence allow researchers to understand how people explain their experiences rather than simply recording whether something occurred. Understanding the insider's perspective is very important. Researchers often describe this as an emic perspective, or rather, the insider's point of view. Rather than imposing external explanation, qualitative researchers seek to understand how participants interpret their own circumstances. Consider the examples of informal settlement residents experiencing water shortages. Quantitative research may measure the number of households affected, average water consumption, waiting times for municipal services. Qualitative research asks different questions. How do residents experience daily water insecurity? How does unreliable water supply affect family life, employment, or children's education? How do communities negotiate access to scarce water resources? These questions reveal dimensions of social life that cannot easily be captured through statistics alone. Social action and meaning. Qualitative research is deeply influenced by the work of the German sociologist Max Weber. Weber argued that social scientists should seek to understand social action. Social action refers to behavior that individuals attach meaning to. Human behavior is rarely random. People act because they hold beliefs, values, expectations, and goals. Applying for a social grant, participating in a community protest, migrating to another country, or volunteering within a local organization are not simply actions. They're actions shaped by personal histories, social institutions, and cultural expectations. Qualitative research therefore asks not only what people do, but why they do it and what those actions mean to them. Verstehen, interpretive understanding, is a central concept of Weber's work. It's a German term usually translated as interpretive understanding. I understand that in Afrikaans it means something similar to that. Verstehen requires researchers to understand social life from the participant's perspective. This does not mean abandoning critical analysis or accepting every explanation uncritically. Rather, it involves asking, why does this person interpret events in this way? What experiences have shaped this understanding? How does their social position influence their perspective? By developing this interpretive understanding, researchers are able to produce rich explanations of social complex phenomena. The context is important as well. Context is fundamental to qualitative research. Human behavior is always shaped by the environment in which it occurs. Political institutions, economic conditions, cultural traditions, religious beliefs, historical experiences, and family relationships all influence how individuals understand the world. Consequently, qualitative researchers often conduct their studies within participants' natural settings. Interviews may take place in one's home, workplace, or communities. Observations are frequently conducted where everyday activities occur. Studying people within their own environments enables researchers to understand and appreciate how context shapes experience and behavior. Unlike qualitative research, where researchers often seek to minimize the influence in the research process, qualitative researchers recognize that they themselves are part of the research. Every researcher brings particular experience, values, assumptions to the field. Rather than pretending complete neutrality is possible, qualitative researchers practice reflexivity. Reflexivity involves critically reflecting on one's background, identity, and relationship with participants, which may influence data collection, interpretation, and analysis. Being reflexive strengthens rather than weakens research because it increases transparency and intellectual honesty. Qualitative research is particularly useful when researchers wish to explore new or poorly understood phenomena, understand lives and the lived experiences, investigate complex social processes, examine how people construct meaning, understand policy implementation, generate new theoretical insights, and study issues within their real world context. The strengths make qualitative research especially valuable in social policy and development, where researchers frequently investigate issues that are complex, contested, and deeply embedded within social contexts. Like all research approaches, qualitative research has limitations. Because qualitative studies typically involve relatively small numbers of participants, 10 to 15, their findings cannot usually be statistically generalized to larger purposes. It's also important to mention that the purpose of qualitative research is not for generalization. Qualitative research is also time sensitive, requiring lengthy interviews, careful observation, and detailed analysis of a large amount of textual data. However, again, the purpose of qualitative research is not statistical representativeness or generalization from the finding. Its strength lies in producing rich, nuanced, and contextually grounded understanding. In short, qualitative research is an interpretive approach to understand human experience. Rather than measuring social phenomena through numbers, it seeks to understand how individual experience, how people perceive and make meaning of their social world. Its defining characteristics include an emphasis on meaning and interpretation, attention to participants' perspective, the recognition of multiple social realities, appreciation of context, and commitment to reflexive and ethical inquiry. So for researchers in social policy and development, qualitative methods provide indispensable insights into how policies are experienced, how communities respond to social challenges, and how people navigate the complexities of everyday life. In the next lesson, we'll examine the principal qualitative research methods and explore how researchers select participants using qualitative sampling strategies. Thank you.